meeting to order for the budget committee on November 13th. We have on the agenda the approval of minutes, but I'm going to postpone that to next week because I know a lot of you probably didn't have time to read them because I didn't, since I came straight from work here. I would also like to make a request related to the last meeting. So in the past, fire and EMS would present call volumes as part of, hey, we're coming to the budget committee, we want more or less money because here our call volume is going up or down. And I know that exists in the report, but they used to give us a table, you know, here's how much it has gone up from last year to this year or over the last couple of years. And if we could get that, that would be great. I know I went back and forth with Ron, and I have some of that information, but I think it's easier if it just comes from Ron into the budget committee rather than me saying, hey, here's what Ron sent me. Does that make sense?
Given what you said about not being able to read the minutes, and I had been looking since Monday for the packet, including just before I left for this afternoon's other activities. So I'd like to make the motion that the budget committee packets be provided at least 48 hours prior to working hours prior to our budget committee meetings.
I would like to second that, and I would like to just say I know everyone is busy and doing everything they can, but I think in all fairness to the volunteers that serve on this committee, I think it's a consideration that we should be given to have time to review the information.
48 hours, working hours?
48 working hours. So basically, by the end of, by the start of, and Tuesday if it's a regular working week.
Okay, that's 48 hours.
48,
Yeah.
48 hours.
I don't work 24
Working
hours.
hours.
I'm speaking of
6 days.
working days, yes. 2 working days, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I imagine there's some times when that's just not possible.
Yeah, we had a holiday, but we were over our head in audit stuff, trying to get the audit done to get a tax rate set.
Well, then postpone the meeting.
I don't disagree with you, but everything you got tonight, except for the minutes, you already have. And I told you that last month. We're not giving you anything new. You have the calendar of what we're going to talk about. You have the entirety of the budget. We can try, but I can't guarantee we can do it. And I'll postpone the meetings if you want, but that could get cumbersome.
So Ed, you're saying this information here was already within that great big packet that we had gotten? Okay.
Yeah,
I think maybe
haven't
even
really
if
did
a note could be sent, just saying that,
So
a reminder.
could we just do the agenda?
Yeah, we can. We usually
And if-
try to.
And if the minutes don't make it on the agenda because they're not ready, they're not on the agenda. You know what I mean? Because that should be doable. And agendas can change.
Yeah, no, we can definitely try, and we have been trying to do that. This week was tremendously bad.
So,
I mean, I'm trying to get the audit done, and it's taking more than our 8-hour days to work on that, and then we have everything else going on.
Taxes must be getting ready too.
But as soon as we get the audit.
Yeah. So
DRA was waiting on the MS 535 that we were working on the auditor this week, like nonstop to try to get done.
They were in on Friday, working on that.
yeah. So if we require 2 days, right? The only reason that we can then say if we want to vote on that is if it doesn't come in 2 days, the meeting gets canceled. I think that is going to could cause some havoc.
Yeah.
If you just say you can't.
I don't want to cancel the meeting, but I think for me, it would be helpful maybe as a reminder, because everyone, not any single one of us is on overload. And I think if just an email could be sent and just say as a reminder, the items being discussed this week are included, and then that way people can just go back and go through that section whenever they have a chance.
Yeah, then we can, I mean, we'll really try to get the budget out before the next one. The next one's the 20th, that's the last department meeting. You guys already have that information.
Right.
If something changes, we'll get you something and it'll just be small, minute changes, but we will put those in the other spreadsheet that we give to you when we make changes.
So on the motion that's on the floor, see, my only concern with what's on the floor is that it's not enforceable, right? Because it doesn't say if you don't have it, we're not gonna, what are we gonna do?
So you
Well,
can,
you can't do that.
amend a motion too.
I mean, I think as a whole, we can say we would like to strongly recommend. For me personally, I don't feel like we need to say,
I don't want to
Yeah.
cancel.
I'm just taking a hard.
no, I get it, David, I get it, but
I'm not
I
saying
think
that
we
you
also
should,
have
but-
to be a little flexible and open-minded about it as well.
You're making the assumption, David, that the rest of us, if it's canceled, can come another date. And that might not be true. I know,
Absolutely
you
right.
know, I fit these dates in so that I move other stuff around and work around them.
Right.
And so it's not
Yeah.
as straightforward as that.
No, I can tell you, we will try really hard. This week slipped away from us. I was trying to do it and it was actually
So-
yesterday, late afternoon, I was reminded we had a budget committee today.
I was reminded today. And I thought it was Wednesday, so.
So here, what are we voting on?
The original motion, unless it's amended.
Was it seconded?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Gina seconded it. I don't need a roll
Well,
call
But
vote.
you wanted
I'll
to amend
withdraw
it, so-
I'll withdraw my second if I'm able to, and just say, and that's how I feel, that I would like to say strongly encourage. You need to be open-minded and flexible about this, I feel like. So, like I said,
I agree that it would be helpful if it came earlier. I also understand nothing has really changed. So we should have the agenda 2 days in advance. I wouldn't say the whole packet, because the whole packet may mean that then we have to discuss what's in the packet,
Right.
right? Because people can easily say, oh, the agenda is the packet, and then we have arguments about that. So
I'm more than willing, like I said, to have just a simple reminder that, by the way, what we're gonna be discussing this week
the
was
agenda,
in the original, and so on Monday, I could have just gone through that and looked at it
I can
myself.
amend my motion to say that the agenda for the budget committee meeting be provided 48 hours before.
I'll second that.
Shall.
Yes, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I second that. Do we need discussion? All right. Kristen, since you're online, you get the first go. We have to make a roll call vote because you're not here. We can't do A or nay. So
can't hear.
I can't hear you.
Muted.
Your name.
Say your name and then say whether you approve or don't.
Oh.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Other sound.
Can you hear me now? Yes? So Kristen Bean and yay, I guess.
Nancy Smith, yay.
Jim Pickett, yay.
David Fayette.
Team Patton, yay.
Timmy, yay.
John Klug, yes.
Jane Plumley, yes.
Shirley Green, yes.
Passes unanimously. All right. We're gonna skip the minutes, as I mentioned, so the next one is the library. Minutes will be discussed next week.
This makes you really good. Okay, so we haven't we've asked for one change this year. We're asking for $500 to be put in the substitute line that we zeroed out about 3 years ago. That's our one request this year, increase request is the 500 so The that. number.
Library personnel fund.
Personnel. It's in the personnel part, and so we zeroed it out about 3 years ago to give the clerks raises, but we'd like to put 500 back in so that we could have a substitute occasionally to cover a shift that I can't always cover.
And then are the two items that went to zero, I assume that's because of consolidation of accounts? Internet?
Internet, that is something that the town populates, and I don't know what that number is.
Yes.
I apparently don't,
There's the minutes.
I just have the minutes.
Give them a
Give another
different
packet.
Thank you.
I didn't steal yours.
So the internet can be consolidated.
Yep, I was just checking.
We're paying for the town.
for the building, right?
Yeah.
And then the repairs and services that went up are just fixed contracts?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
And what about the mail, the postage from 25 to 300? I know it says mailbox fees, but
Well, that was year-to-date actual from earlier. So the budget last year was 300, it stayed the
Right.
same this year.
Yeah, we haven't increased that.
Is that because we haven't paid it yet?
We haven't paid for the mailbox yet.
oh, okay.
Does that get used a lot?
The mailbox?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know.
We get mail.
Daily.
So it's a
Daily.
mail, annual fee that you pay in December.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes we will mail books to another library in another state. We will occasionally do that.
And Kate, what about the library miscellaneous where year-to-date actual is zero, but I know you're asking for the same thing as before, but I'm just curious
Yes.
what that sort of entails.
So sometimes we use it if we have to consult with a lawyer for a policy, policy review. Sometimes if we have to run an ad for something, we'll use it for that.
So, Ed, question, if she's indicating that possibly sometimes it can include lawyer fees, that doesn't come out of our legal line?
Not always, sometimes we absorb it if they don't have the money, sometimes we do.
Okay.
All of the great projects and events that you put on are included in this
So
program.
programming comes out of library programming. Some of what we're offering right now, the trustees received a donation, so we are using that donation because it was specific for one of our services, so we're using the money from the trustee account for that. But yes, the majority of programming does come out of library programming.
So next year, you're going to use up that donation. I mean, you guys do a great job.
Potentially, it was a donation that would be able to pay for the service for 2 years, and we've only used the 1 year's worth
Okay.
of money.
Okay,
And there is other money available, trustee donation money for that kind of stuff.
okay. All right, just don't want a surprise.
Roughly how much is it?
What's that?
The donation?
The donation was 2,000.
Okay. Just to get an idea for when it's out and it comes back. Because I assume when the donation runs out, you're gonna ask for the money, right?
It's gonna depend on if the service is being used, so that's why we've chose to use that donation for 1 year, and we'll look at the numbers in 1 year and we'll say, okay, this was worth $1,000, or no, this really wasn't. It was just what we're trying to do is we're trying to shift to online opportunities for people, and this is a service that provides Author Talks online, so that's why we're kind of trying it.
What about all of the hands-on things that you do? Is that covered in there?
So that comes out of library programming.
Okay. It's been great. You really do amazing things.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if this is the right place to ask, but do you see a benefit to getting people familiar with things like ChatGPT?
Like what?
You're laughing. However,
Are you asking, do I see a benefit for promoting AI?
For
Not-
teaching people how to use it.
for teaching people how to use, say, things like ChatGPT, because when used the right way, right, or even in Google and you get the AI answer,
Right.
when used the right way, it gives you really good answers. When you ask the question the wrong way,
But it could give you poor answers too, so I think it's
Yes.
about balance, right? I
yes,
think
and that's
absolutely.
what I meant with this.
I think it's an education behind it
Yes,
to know.
right. It's not saying promoting AI.
Right. Right.
More like, I think it's unavoidable that they'll become more used, and how to best interact with it
I
to
agree.
get what you want.
I think for the library world, a big discussion piece is who owns information, right?
Okay.
We're always talking about copyright, who
Yep.
owns information. When you have AI just searching and searching the internet and pulling information,
Mhm.
just grabbing information and not citing sources, right? It's a problem. So that's the conversation that we have in the library world, is who owns information.
Yeah.
And you have to think with AI, right? You have to think, oh, maybe that information is not correct.
Right,
You
and
have
that's
to-
what I mean
You have to
with-
problem solve, you have to think, and you have to be able to read.
Right, and
And-
so,
And that's what I deal with every single day.
right, that's what I mean with, I'm not saying promoting it,
Education.
I'm saying educating people how to interact with it.
That's right. And the balance, right? You have to
Right.
strike, you have to have a skill set to use AI well.
Right,
And don't give away this skill set, because
Right.
you're gonna have really dumb AI
agree.
in 50 years.
because like, right, I
Because
agree.
you're gonna have people adding to the internet that can't read, can't think, can't write. So
Right.
it could be 50 years of really good stuff that we've built up, then you have really dumb stuff.
And so the reason I ask is, I see it happening, people are using it at school, right? I'm not saying I want people at school to get better about using it so that they can, avoid doing the work themselves, but the school is not teaching them how to interact better with AI.
What the school is doing is they're giving them a foundation. They're giving them a foundation to think, to read,
agree.
to take in information, right? Those are
Right.
the skills that you need to be able to use AI.
I agree.
And they're also teaching them how to use information systems. You've got to be able to know how to access your information systems in the right way. That's what the school does.
Agree. So, but the presence of AI is going to be unavoidable, so who's going to be teaching kids or adults how do you best interact with it? And I think that, I find it missing for myself even as part of my work. I have to go watch YouTube videos sometimes to ask questions to
Is
that
that a
chatbot.
job for the library or job for the school system?
It's a job for a parent too.
I think it's,
Ah,
I think
I
it's
think it's all,
right?
it's everyone,
It's
because
everyone.
we're all in this environment with AI.
And it's unavoidable.
Right, but I think
And
what,
so that's what I don't want to take this meeting off
Right.
track, but I kind of want are we thinking about the programming with that mindset? Because it's not like it's not going to be there. It is going to be there. I don't think it's going to take everything over as everybody claims. But I noticed myself as I educate myself a little bit on how to get engineering answers. If I ask the question the right way, I get a
better answer.
Right.
So yes, so I am sending some of my staff to AI trainings. We are, again, in the library world, it's very different because we're talking about who owns information, right? Does AI own the information that they're sourcing? Are they referencing it? All of that is, so we have this big philosophical question, right? But yes, absolutely, it's balance. We have to incorporate that. We will build training around that. We will build programs around that. We're just not there yet. But we're working on it.
Because I know you have a lot of people from EVS come through your
Yes,
library.
and so,
And-
yes, students come, and what I do for them is I teach them how to, and we will be teaching them how to use self-checkout, because that's how you access information. That is a way to access information, right? You have a card, which gives you a number, you walk up to a computer, you scan, right? This is participating in an information system. That's the beginning of teaching them how to participate in the world, because they're always gonna have to set up accounts. They're gonna have numbers, they're gonna have passwords, right? That's what we do at the public libraries. We start that foundation right there. This is your card. You're identified by this number. You want this, whatever this item is, right? That's the beginning of information systems access. That's what we do at the public library. That's what the school's doing at the library there too.
Do you anticipate doing, so, like Dimitri's saying, if I ask the right question, I get good information that makes my solution better, right?
Right.
But if you don't know what the good question is, so to me, the thing, and the younger you start in a way, the better, is teach them that critical thinking piece, where you have a concrete example, where you have them formulate their questions in different ways and then analyze. And
I don't
that
think
kind
the
of thing.
library is set up to do that.
It
Well,
can be a special program.
and I think it is an opportunity for
One
programming,
computer?
Yeah.
but I think there's other opportunities. Like in our library, we don't have a voice level requirement. We ask that you come in and use your regular voice. I don't want you to talk in a small voice, I don't want you to talk in a big voice. I want you to come in as a person, use your regular voice, right? So that allows everybody to hear the question, right? That allows them to advocate for themselves. We don't silence children, right? We've got to start with them young to be able to advocate for themselves, to participate in the information system, because that's what they're going to keep carrying forward with them, right? It's just, you keep layering the skills upon skills upon skills.
I think,
You go first, your library trustee.
I just want to quickly say, it can be very helpful in some ways, but it can be very dangerous in others. I read an article this week about a young man who really needed a counselor, but he was on the line, on that chat for 5 hours, and he had told them repeatedly that he had a gun, and it ended up, he wished him well, and he committed suicide.
And
He needed
Again,
someone there that would
I'm not
direct him
trying
to the
to-
right place.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to advocate AI. I just see a gap in how to interact with it.
And analyze what.
And that goes along with it. Because like the first time I interacted with AI, I was like, I asked it, what is a crowd cooler, right? I do that for work, I've done it for 20 years. I asked it, what is a crowd cooler? And I read through the 3 pages it came up with. And I can tell you, half of it was pretty good and half of it was wrong. So I'm like, okay. And I put it away for a year. And then more and more people at my work were using it. I'm like, oh man, I should look into this because. And so that's what I meant is, you know, I see kids doing it on their own, for my own children, and I feel like not they'll be more successful, but by not, like, especially once they have phones, if you don't teach them something the way you want to teach it, they'll find information somewhere else on YouTube and they're going to absorb it whichever way it's presented to them, right?
And that's why we work on talking about information systems and how does that work and what does that look like. That's why we work on that skill set.
Yeah.
Read, write, talk, advocate for yourself, all of that.
But that discussion is has gone as far as it's going to. I apologize for your being the first department that I asked this question. I should have asked it for others in the past, and I will in the future. But what are your default plans should a default budget be enacted rather than the proposed budget?
Good question.
That's a question. I don't know that I know the answer to that question.
Yeah, that'll be something that the trustees will have to do, and you can ask the other departments, but they're not gonna have the answer because it's not their decision to make. That's a select board decision.
I realize that ultimately it is, but the contingency planning that goes into the select board decision should be being made now.
We know what the default budget is, and if that's what we end up with, we'll make it. We're not gonna spend hundreds of staff hours to make contingency plans for a maybe.
Okay.
We know what we're doing this year, and if that's what our default budget is,
And
we'll
that's
just
what
have some tough decisions on, I mean, it really comes down to
Yeah, what are the tough decisions is
You
really
know,
what the answer
benefit
is.
change. You know, is the select board gonna decide to give raises? Are they gonna decide not to give raises? If they give raises, we have to cut services. That's a select board decision. That's not a department head decision at all.
Okay, well, I'll bring it up there too.
Good question. Anything else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Francine Lorenzo. I'm a library trustee as well. And I will just say, Kate's strength is being able to pivot. If anything comes up, if there's any question, anything in the library, that's what she's really good at. So I'm not worried about the budget. I would hate to see her cut, but I'm not worried about the budget because she'll know what to do.
Mine's the same thing. If we plan it now, it's a waste of staff time.
We don't.
We're wasting taxpayer money at that point. So when it happens, we'll make decisions.
Maybe what David is really saying, and I'm just gonna sort of take a wild stab at this, is not more or less of what exactly is the department head's plans, but what might their recommendations be for reductions within their department. I mean, obviously.
I think that's really misleading and going down the wrong route here. We need to approach this budget process optimistically, realistically. If we get hammered, then we deal with it.
That's not really contingency planning.
If we were gonna do anything like that, it should have been at the beginning of the budget season that we decided that that's what we were gonna ask of people.
I should have brought that up first. We only had a couple of meetings to discuss it.
Like I said, it's not their decision. You can ask them, but they won't be making that call of what they're gonna cut.
Okay.
They'll probably be consulted, but it's gonna be a hard decision, and there's gonna be things cut that some people are not gonna be happy with.
Putting our time into getting good information to voters, so that maybe we don't end up in that position.
Right.
So,
That's
hold on.
really where our time
But
ought to be.
As a reminder, the default budget is what? It is essentially
Last year's budget.
this year's
with
budget
One-time stuff taken out.
with one-time stuff taken
And
out.
then
So
contractual
essentially,
stuff moving up.
and I'm not implying, but if you don't do any changes to the benefits, if you don't do any changes to salaries, and there's no inflation, that's it, right? So the only cutting you have to do is for inflation of things you buy that you don't have cost control over, right? Which includes benefits, because you don't really have cost control over that. And then you do have control over wages, but that's a select board call. And so we're, at that point, within a couple of percent, right?
Yeah, benefits are contracted. Because we're signing those agreements right now for next
Well,
year.
right, that's saying you don't have control over that.
No, but
Right, like-
that'll be increased to what it actually is in
So
the
that
default
would be
budget.
Because anything contracted, those increases go in the default.
Okay,
That's not so bad.
all right.
So it's really salary increases, inflation, and any
One-time.
one-time new
Thanks.
projects that you're trying to.
And then the
put in.
one-time new projects you just wouldn't do unless you found a way to make them happen.
Yeah.
But probably
Or
just wouldn't
changes
do.
within the budget.
So as far as the library goes, it's level funded except for asking for the extra 500
Yeah, and the wage changes.
in the wage.
Wage and benefits.
Is the library handled
Well,
different?
there's a difference of $5,000 in the personnel line, for example.
Yeah,
Right, that's what I
personnel.
meant.
Yeah,
Wage changes.
that's like just benefits.
I thought you said benefits.
I said wage changes and they said add and benefits. So is the library, I know the library sometimes gets handled differently because of legal
Because we're
reasons.
not a department of the town.
Yep. So is the library handled differently in a default situation or not?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I can
That's a
check
good
on that.
question, though.
Yeah,
Why,
I'll check on that. I doubt it.
I doubt it, not because they're, in our town, they're lumped in as part of the general fund budget.
Okay.
There's other places where they're voted on separately, but
Okay.
I personally am so appreciative of having a good library, and I think Enfield should be proud of the services that you do. And
I agree, it's just an example of one of many departments.
I understand that, but I think we have, for a little town, we have a particularly nice library, and it's well-used by a variety of ages, and rarely do I go in and there aren't other people in there. It's well done, and you guys are very pleasant.
Thank you, Jane.
All right, anything else? Recreation?
okay, on recreation, as you can see, recreation personnel came down. We had a 1 month overlap, that's not the whole reason, but we had a 1 month overlap for the change in recreation director. We did hire Todd at a little bit lower level than Kevin was at before. We'll be working through that as he gets trained and comes online. And then we also pulled way back the hours from, what is it, 11:20 to 2:50 for the lifeguards. I know we've been trying to bolster money and get them here, but it's just not gonna happen, and I don't know. I don't think it's right to keep funding them at full staffing if we're having trouble even getting one.
Okay.
Did we get one this year?
No.
So it should be 0, shouldn't it?
No, if you ever have
If you
it up.
fund 0, you won't hire any because we won't look. I think you should fund a little bit, but I don't think we can fund none unless we want to make the decision and go to the select board that we just won't even try to get any. But we were really close to having one because they were going to get trained through the youth camp program to go with them, and then they were going to work some in the summers, and it just didn't work out. So,
Does that affect liability for the town?
no.
Oh, good.
No, there's a carve out for municipalities if you provide a beach per se, and it's open public swimming and you're not charging people to swim there, then the town's exempted from any and all liability unless there's extreme negligence there, so. So we do not have to have one, but it's nice to have one.
And 250 essentially covers a couple of weeks in the summer,
Yeah,
Hardly
full
not even
time,
that.
part-time.
yeah. Yeah, it's not a lot, and it's not a lot of money. I mean, if we add it up, you know, even if we hired someone at $20 an hour, you're not talking much money there at all. But it is something we can discuss if we want to completely take it out.
Well, I'm just, if we're not getting them, what's the point? I'm spending the money to try.
But it was the same discussion we had earlier. You take them out, and we're not even going to advertise, because
How much did you spend trying to get one?
not a lot, but, you know, we can put an ad on Indeed or the Valley News or somewhere, and it's a few $100, but
Okay.
I think a lot of what they do is try to get stuff to the high school in some places that cost us almost nothing
Yeah,
to try.
it's more philosophical of,
Yeah.
if the yield is 0, why spend effort?
Yeah, but it's just, like I said, it's that decision of, if you want to say we're just not going to get them, then we can pull it out. And But I'd hate to
Has it
hire
been-
someone and not have the money to pay them.
Yeah.
Has it been discussed at
But
this level?
let's come back to that discussion next year, and if we
Lifeguards?
get one or two,
Well, that
great.
can't
It's
get any
been
yes.
years since we've had one. I mean,
Not the financial aspect.
No, like the idea of we should just punt on even trying.
It hasn't been brought up.
No.
Might be not a bad discussion to have. Because I kind of agree, if for years you try to get them and you can't, and maybe the decision is, let's stop bothering.
Is this a general problem that other towns have, or are we
Yeah.
underfunding that?
No, it's hard. We've raised
Yeah.
our rates, and I don't
There's
know
also
whether,
a problem among private recreation clubs as well.
I was gonna say the aquatic center was having trouble. I don't know where they're at now, but when we were talking with Matt, they were having trouble getting people. We were trying to work with other towns to say, hey, can we hire them for a part-time? And it was no, because we need every minute of the ones we have. And so it could definitely be something we could talk about if it's a
Yeah.
service we want to provide or not.
I would have the select board have that discussion. And if they decide, hey, it's not worth doing this anymore, let's just punt on it. You know what I mean? Rather than just. Because at the end of the day, 250 hours over the course of a huge summer isn't really going to make a dent either. Right?
Yeah, I mean,
The probability they're going to be on staff when somebody's actually there is probably less than 10%. You know what I mean?
Recreation programming, it says added winter recreation.
if you look
Pushing
down
for
below,
new
there's
events?
winter recreation line and a recreation programming, and we just had the discussion of why are we separating those out? Why don't we just have recreation programming, one line? So we did away with the recreation, we kept the recreation programming the same as we did. It is a low expenditure right now, we'll be spending a little bit more, but probably not a lot more this year, but the transition slowed some things down. We're talking about adding quite a few events next year. So
Okay,
like
but you left summer programming.
Summer programming, we could probably rename that summer camp.
Yeah, that's like, yeah.
That is summer camp.
That's
It's
summer camp.
Nothing else, it's summer camp.
Yeah, maybe just rename it.
Question, so winter recreation basically includes the bus?
It's
Yeah.
mostly the bus and any other winter recreation they want to add. This year, there won't be anything
Right.
extra.
I
Before
mean,
they
there are
did-
no other expenses to supporting the wheelback program other than the bus.
No, before they did some cross-country, those types of things as well, and we have not
Yeah,
been
we're
doing
back
cross-country.
and Canaan, the cross-country at Canaan, I think were the two.
Are they still doing that? Cross country?
No, I don't think so. The last, Canaan's been doing it. We had nobody sign up for the Enfield one for 1 or 2 years in a row.
Last year, but not the year before, there were several.
Is the are they gonna have the program at Whaleback if the fact that there's no lift?
Yep, he was either meeting with them this week or next week on the program itself,
It'll be for beginners
how
on.
they're gonna do it.
Right.
So if we continue
This is for
down,
kids, right?
Yeah.
Do you have programming in here for seniors?
Yay, Nancy, I'm glad
Yeah.
you said that. We talked about this many years ago, too.
say we do some things at the community building, but we're definitely open to any ideas that you may have.
You mean specifically for
Tech-savvy
winter?
seniors in Lebanon.
Well, I think there's Tai Chi and there is bone builders.
I mean,
there's-
getting out
Yoga,
and
yoga.
snowshoeing
Right,
and that
right.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
You're referring to winter or
oh,
summer?
anytime.
Well, we've been
There's a-
talking about that too, because there's also the missing middle, the young adults, if you will, we provide nothing for them. So that's some of the expanded
For the
recreation that we want to do.
Right.
The seniors, I know Todd's been talking about adding like a photography class to have some people teach and go around Mascoma Lake and some different places.
A class on how to use ChatGPT.
Nancy, I have a
That would be
whole
right.
list of ideas that I submitted when, what was her name was here originally. I submitted the list to the person before Todd. I can dig out that list again of things that are not hugely costly for seniors.
There's
There
an
have been
existing
free-
program in Lebanon.
I know.
that we could copy with seal.
There had been a mixed age group doing the community volleyball. I don't know if that's still going on
They're still
after the
doing that.
pandemic.
They're still doing that.
They're still doing
I haven't been able to do it, so.
I don't want to be forgotten.
There was a little issue with that one because they were just texting people and changing the date and changing the time. And it was, if it's a rec program, we have set times, set places. You can't just text your friends and say, hey, we're gonna do it this day instead of this day.
I mean, they had to reserve the space at the school, and
It's Friday afternoon, right? Friday evening,
Ms.
right?
LeBrie was organizing
Yeah,
that,
wonderful.
so, and she was doing a good job.
Sundays.
Yeah, but we can definitely work on all those. And there's a lot of stuff I've been talking to Todd about that we need to step on and do some new things. So that's part of the reason I want to keep the 12,000 there. We'll put winter recreation in it so the cost is coming down a little, but we want to definitely start some new programming.
So one of the things that keeps popping in my mind as we do this, every time you move something to another line, I want to see what it was when it was in the old budget and what amount you moved. Because that's how things increase, but they're hard to track on our end. So,
Well, last year
and I'm
we were-
not saying the increases aren't legitimate, but,
Can't
I
compare.
think we can't compare. And so we're kind of helpless there. And the other thing is that we also are doing some of that because we can cut our expenses. So then if we're not, then why? You know what I'm saying? So if you could.
Well, they kind of did that, said added winter recreation to that recreation program.
Yeah, winter recreation was $1,050. We added it to the recreation programming, but then we cut $1,050 from recreation programming to keep it the same. So the total overall cost went down by a little over $1,000.
Why is park maintenance being cut by $1,000?
I was gonna ask, what's the
Because we haven't been spending it.
plan with Hughes Park?
There's no long-term plan. There's still,
Right,
the rec
because,
committee is really starting to dive in on that. I have to go to their meeting next week. We're talking capital planning and capital finance, and the rec committee has never really dove into the long-term.
So, because several years ago, we had, hey, we got to replace the baseball net. It's like falling apart, and then we,
You did, didn't we?
no,
No, we didn't do
no,
it.
we ended up going like, oh, we're gonna redo
Right.
Hughes Park, so we're not gonna do the baseball net.
Right.
And 2 years later, it's still in the same situation. So, I would ask that we either come up with a plan for Hughes Park on what we're gonna do, or fix the damn baseball net.
It's a backstop. Backstop, I think is what
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think it needs to be a lot bigger conversation of what they want to do there, and it's a CIP item, it's not a.
Right.
committee item.
I understand, but it's, and so I'll make a mental note for next year for the CIP then, because, this is how things don't get maintained, right?
Right.
We'll go like, oh, we're
That's
gonna do something bigger, better,
Right.
let's not waste the money now, and then 5 years go by and you still haven't done the bigger, better thing, and the net's falling apart and balls are going through and hitting car windows and.
We allocated $10,000 through CIP,
You
Right.
did?
which we were unable to find a bidder who could do anything, let alone spend the $10,000. It continues to lean. I would not say it's yet a hazard, but it could easily become a hazard if we have poor winter conditions or something like that. Hughes Park needs a big picture look. It needs a group to look at it seriously and decide, baseball field, town park, what is it?
Right.
But I also hate to see money cut that should be allocated to maintaining the basic essence of Hughes Park and the basic essence of the soccer and baseball fields on the other side. We're not spending enough in those areas, I can tell you by the conditions of those fields.
Yeah.
And we put a lot of money into starting that, and I feel like we aren't keeping up with it.
We are not keeping up with those fields.
Park maintenance include the soccer fields?
Yes.
But I mean, we just heard Ed say that it was lowered because we're not spending the money, so.
But we're not allocating the resources. I don't think it's a question of we couldn't spend the money, we should be spending the money, and we've not been allocating the resources. I'm not saying we have the resources to do it. DPW is well stretched. But the fact is, we need to find those resources and to allocate them properly to maintain the assets which the town has, or they'll only get worse. They've already deteriorated some from the time that all of those fields were built.
The baseball fields are the worst.
Yeah.
They're in tough shape. And out there, when you're trying to have little kids play kindergarten and teach them soccer and kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, those fields are in tough shape for those little kids.
And Mascoma Lakeside Park, which is newly developed, runs the risk of, if it's not maintained, and with the committee going to entirely voluntary, I don't, there's not a solid plan in place that I'm aware of for anything more than current maintenance.
I think they could easily spend all that money just on the baseball field.
Easily.
Easy.
Isn't the
The
Mascoma
Lakeside
Park,
Parks
or
spent out
Lakeside
of
Park?
their fund. Yeah.
It has been, but it's not anymore.
It's supposed to be forever.
I don't know, where is that
Turn it
fund?
over to the-
That fund's still with the town, and it will stay with the town.
Okay, now what's the current base balance?
I want to say somewhere right around $40,000.
Okay, well, that gives us a few years.
Yeah, we've been working with Patty and them to keep that going.
Okay, well, I wasn't aware of that.
So where does that leave us on the Hughes Park discussion?
So if you guys want to add money there, you can. I just had a meeting with Mascoma Youth Sports. You know, they still have lots of money. They're doing things. We're planning on redoing the baseball fields together. We use some of our money, some of our resources, some of their money, some of their resources.
Okay.
You know, we are
Not at the Hughes Park field, but at the Shaker field.
at the Shaker Field right now. Yeah, there's conversation right now with the only people that use the Hughes Park field for baseball is Indian River, and they're trying to move everything more towards.
And they only use it part-time. It's primarily practices when they can't get on their own field. They simply haven't adjusted themselves to not having it as a resource.
Yeah, we just had a conversation with them last week, so we're
They played
looking at
games
some
on it
different things, what we
last
can
year
do
too.
There's a
there.
real question whether Hughes Park needs to have a field, a baseball field. Now, the one to be restored to what it presently is, in my opinion. It's 6,000. I believe we just haven't been emphasizing spending the money properly.
I agree that.
Can I make a motion to increase that to 6,000?
I'll second that.
Since we don't have anybody else online.
Sorry.
Not that I like to spend money, but is 6,000 enough?
So I honestly don't think it is enough, but I think it needs the discussion Ed is having.
Yeah.
It's a start.
We should at least we should make sure it gets spent. Because you can easily spend it.
Yeah.
You just have to
We
make it
can
a
spend it.
priority.
The one thing we've talked about is adding the basketball court paving into next year's paving bid, because we'll get a better price than if we try to bid it on its own.
Okay.
And that's certainly used all the
Yep.
time.
Yes.
For all kinds of things.
All in favor? 6,000?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Our fun topic of regional requests.
We need to look at beach maintenance.
That's covered as part of CIP.
Okay.
There's a
Well, the
CIP
big
item.
project is the $1,000. I've talked to Todd, they're going to be spending money to buy like new swim buoys that actually have weights on them and don't go in the tide. And so we'll be spending a little bit there, but I don't think it needs to be increased or anything at this time. We do have a bigger project coming down the road. Coming into the end of the budget, we had a little bit of money there, and I gave the thumbs up to Horizons engineer to do the surveying and start of what that project would look like.
The one that was discussed as part of CIP. Okay.
So I'll be able to pull the total cost down in CIP, we'll get a little bit of it done.